How do you build an empire? You don't start with glass and steel and concrete. You start with a single brick. Laid side by side together, they become something much bigger. These bricks are a part of history. The people who set them into the earth were building more than just a racetrack. They were building a legacy. They were building memories. They were building dreams. As decades passed, a kingdom rose around this 2.5-mile ribbon of asphalt. It became an international icon. Lives were made here, and lives were lost here, in a pursuit of eternal glory. No one has to say why this place is special. It just is. And though over the years the pavement between these walls has been paved time and time again, there is still a stretch of bricks by the finish line to remind us all that great things come from humble beginnings.
While it seems like the 3-Wide Racing Cold Hard Art Cup Series has been doing a throwback every week in these 1987 stock cars, we have yet to visit a certain track on the racing schedule as steeped in history as any racing series. For stock car fans, Daytona is the playground. But for open wheel fans, it's another place entirely. Instead of the humid Floridian coasts, we're taking a trip inland this week to a track which annually hosts an international spectacle. At the end of 80 laps tonight, someone will get to kiss the bricks of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as others have done since 1909. Sure, the Harley J. Earl Trophy at Daytona might be a sweet prize, but there's nothing quite like standing in the shadow of the pagoda as a winner at Indianapolis. Welcome to SimTV. My name's Kyle Heyer, and tonight the Cold Hard Art Cup Series for the 3-Wide Racing League will take on an American classic, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is a really special racetrack for me because I'll be visiting at the tail end of this week to do some broadcasting for GT World Challenge America. You can check that out on the CrowdStrike Racing YouTube channel later this week. That'll be on Sunday. It'll be the Indianapolis 8-hour at approximately 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll be on CrowdStrike Racing YouTube channel interviewing special guests CJ Moses, Kevin Bohm, two drivers from TC World Challenge America, and I'll be joined by some other special guests as well. Down to the racetrack now, though, for our 80-lap event here tonight at Indianapolis. Qualifying already underway as we conclude our session. James Miller, the 09, who was rock solid last week at Tsukuba, currently sits atop the board by 62 thousandths of a second over Drew Eisenman in the number 77. It's Race Clark in third, then Nick Boyd, then Tanner Sharp, rounding out the rest of your top five. Well, 20 seconds left in qualifying. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot more drivers left on the racetrack, with the exception of Matt Grunberg in the 54. He's rounding turns number 1 and 2 right now, and I don't think he'll get a time in here, and he'll do what he's done since the beginning of, really, I would say, his 3-wide career a couple seasons ago, and continue to run starting from the back of the field. So James Miller atop the standings as we approach our 80-lap event tonight. It is round number, I think we're on round number 6 of the season here. We were at Tsukuba with a doubleheader last week, and that was an interesting one. That was a very small, short track, short road course, I should say, with lots of corners and a lot of bumping and banging. But this week we're heading to the big 2.5-mile Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and here is what it looks like. And again, a lot of people know this track. They've seen it time and time again, but just as a refresher for those that are not aware, 2.5 miles, 4 turns around here, 9.2 degrees of banking in these corners, and you're going to lean on every little bit of it because there is not a lot of banking to go around, especially in these cars. No downforce in these things. You're going to be muscling these cars around for all 80 laps of this event tonight. Indianapolis also has a 2.9-mile road course, or 2.6-mile road course on the inside that we will not be using today. We're using the oval layout of this racetrack. So down to the racetrack, we'll head and get through our starting lineup. On the front row, going to be James Miller in the number 09, then Drew Eisenman in the number 77. They'll be sharing the front row in their Chevrolet and Ford Thunderbird, respectively. Row number 2, Race Clark in the number 22 car, and Nick Boyd in the number 74, starting in 4th. In row number 3, Tanner Sharp in the number 3 car, still looking for some more luck. He'll roll off in 5th alongside the 20 of Brady Smith. Row number 4, Jordan McKeevoy in the number 21. He will roll off in 7th place. And at 8th, Sam Close in the number 5. In row number 5, Justin Kolb in the 52, and the 89 of Brent Miller. He starts 10th. As we go on back to row number 6, Matt Hackathorn in his number 84, and Jonathan Cogswell in the number 27. He will start in 12th tonight. Row number 7, 13th place, Chuck Sweeting, and the 14th place car, Michael Goodman in that 44 Chevrolet. In 15th tonight, Donovan Smith in the number 1, and Alex Boyd will roll off in 16th, his outside, in the number 1. Skylar Nissel in the number 11 car starts 17th. Jeremiah Llewellyn in the number 02 starts 18th this evening. In 19th, Dustin Dewar, and in 20th, Matt Grunberg starts towards the tail end of the field. As we head down to the corner, Levi Zielinski, Jeffrey Fisher rounding out what should be the last few rows of our field. Just about 24 drivers here in the field tonight with Corey Lindsay wrapping them up back there in the 00. One more driver, Mike Stevens, in the very last row. As we head onto the middle section here of the turn 1 and 2 complex, and at the exit of this corner, you'll be led to the back straightaway wall, and this is going to take you all the way down towards turn number 3. Lots of high speed here. Speeds probably well into the 190-mile-an-hour range off into the corner. So like we said before, no downforce on these cars, so they'll be struggling against every little bit of mechanical grip that they have. Love seeing the field here doubled up on the back straightaway as they prepare for running here tonight. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, constructed in 1909, one of the oldest racetracks in the country, and is one of the longest operating races, the Indianapolis 500, that is. And Indianapolis, Indiana, population of 2.4 million people in the surrounding area. little known fact about the racetrack is, take one more look at the configuration, 4 turns, 2.5 miles. One little known fact about this configuration of the racetrack is it was originally planned to be much larger. It was originally planned to be 3 to 5 miles long and 150 feet wide. That's our interesting fact for the day as we head back to the front. The 09 of James Miller coming off of a solid week of action at Tsukuba last week. He'll take us down to the green flag as we head for 80 laps worth of racing in the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series as we come to the start-finish line. Green flag in the air, and we're racing at Indianapolis. The field underway, thundering down towards turn number 1. Clean getaway for the number 09 at James Miller as he heads down into turn number 3. Isom and Boyd, Race Clark behind him, Tanner Sharp in the number 3 car in 5th. Behind them, they're side by side. There's the 27 up the inside of the 5 of Sam Close, and farther back, the 10 of Alex Boyd out of line as Zielinski goes to driver's left to the 44 of Michael Goodman. That's a battle for 15th as they come out of turn 4 and complete a lap. It'll take us about, let's see here, as we come across the line, about 40-ish seconds, maybe a little bit longer than that, or 57 across the line for the first time with a slow acceleration. Down into turn 1, Miller, a little bit wide there off the apex, but trying to carry as much speed as possible. We're going to be wearing out those right side tires throughout the runs today. Oh, big crash in the background. That's the 11 of Skylar Nissel. The caution is out. It's a big hit for the number 11. He started the race in 17th. I believe was on his way forward, but we saw the car get sideways and get turned head-on into the wall. And his one saving grace here would be that seems like these cars can take a pretty big beating here. Let's go back and have a look at what might have caused this situation. Off into turn 1, was all by himself right in front of the 9 car of Nick Miller. He just gets out wide off into the marbles, and the car just steps out, overcorrects, and slams the outside safer barrier. But no foul play there. Just gets in too hot. You'll watch the car just start to step out. He got a little bit of right correction into it, then snaps back and hits the fence. So our first caution out at lap number 2. James Miller out front. Curious to see what the pit stop situation would be. I'd have to imagine that they wouldn't come to pit lane this early in the race. I think you'd want to stay out and preserve that track position. I feel like passing tonight is going to be extraordinarily difficult, more difficult than most other racetracks, short tracks included. It's going to take a lot of effort to get passes done here with such long straightaways and long braking zones. There's a lot of opportunities for mistakes, but this track is so narrow that at speed without downforce, you don't really have all that much control when you get to the corner. So you turn off in and hope it sticks to the inside line. So James Miller in the 09 hanging out right now, and I think what I would like to do is I'd like to have a chat with James Miller, and we'll see if we can pull him in real quick. Hey, James Miller, it's Kyle from the SimTV booth. You got a copy? Hey, man. Well, so far so good for you, and we see everyone coming down pit lane. So actually, I'm going to talk to you back in a little minute. I'll let you finish up your duties, and then I'll talk to you.
All right, 10-4.
We'll talk to him as soon as he's done pitting. I wasn't expecting him to come on down pit lane this early in the race, but Nick Boyd has elected to stay out in the number 74. The 22 of Race Clark sits in behind. Maybe we'll have a conversation with Race Clark real quick. Hey, Race Clark, it's Kyle from the SimTV booth. You got a copy?
What up?
Hey, man, how's it going?
It's going good. I didn't expect to be interviewed. I was just kind of chilling, and now I'm here. What's up?
Well, you're here, and well, you're second place right now. Chose to stay out on the pit stop. I was going to talk to James Miller. He came down pit lane. You didn't. What's the strategy? Do you think it's worth coming down, or it looks like you don't think so because you stayed on the racetrack?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay out. I'll be honest with you. I'm not very quick here. It's all an illusion. My pace is not that good. I fear that I'll burn the right front up. So I thought I'm just gonna stay out, you're going to pit it halfway, don't tell my competitors.
Well, I think this racetrack is certainly an interesting one. I think a lot of people sort of dread coming to a racetrack like this because it can be so hard to pass. What has your initial reaction been this week driving this car at this racetrack? Has it been more forgiving than you would have thought or trickier than you would have expected?
I was expecting it to be a pushy monster, but it's actually really loose. So it's actually been a little more pleasant than I expected. I'm just not really good at these giant 2-milers and stock cars, I'll say it. So honestly, my advice or my take is worthless.
All right, we're going to wish you good luck. Race, did you come from Prestige Worldwide? I just kind of pulled you without looking.
Yeah, Prestige Worldwide.
All righty, well, good luck out there. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, good luck to y'all. Thank you.
That was Race Clark, who is currently second on the racetrack as we come out of turn number 4. And if we get 2 to green, we'll talk to the 09 of James Miller again. If we get the 1 to green, we'll let him get reformed back up and see a couple more cars hit pit lane. Come across the line. Nick Boyd is the race leader in the Blockbuster video number 74. Good looking livery on that, kind of period correct, which I always like. Coming across the line, 1 to green, so lights are out on the pace car. And that will signify that next time we come to the line, we'll be under green flag conditions again after a caution at lap number 2 for the 11 of Skylar Nissel, who has gotten that car, I don't want to say completely repaired, but it's better looking than it was. He's down 25th a lap down, dead last on the racetrack. Mike Stevens was the driver we saw hit pit lane. He's on in the pits receiving service. So the top 12 cars stayed out all by themselves. Everyone from 13th on back did come to pit lane. So as we wait for the restart here, we'll have Nick Boyd, Race Clark, Tanner Sharp all lined up nose to tail. As we get ready for the restart here. Let's also talk about Justin Kolb in the 52. He almost won the championship last year. We got Connor Horn jumping in here, saving the day. Connor, thanks for jumping in. I appreciate you on short notice hopping in here. As we get prepared for restart here at Indianapolis, we've had 1 caution so far in lap number 2. 87's at Indy. This is a fun one today, Connor, so we'll see how this goes. Let him get situated. Microphone not quite hooked up yet.
Sorry,
there you go. I got you now.
Push to pass on, not push to pass. That's Indy cars, but you know what I mean. So,
well, push to pass it's actually remarkably fitting considering we're on an IndyCar track today.
Yeah, that is very true. I'm kind of excited to see how these cars are running. I saw in the Discord chat earlier, some people were kind of surprised of how awkward these cars were to drive in practice. So I'm excited to see how out of control these cars might be.
Well, they were hanging out their right rears earlier in the day. As we come to lap number 6, we'll see if they can make it through another couple laps here. Lap number 5 of 80. Nick Boyd out front, top 12 cars. Our line astern as we take the green flag at Indianapolis. Look at Skylar Nissel in the background trying to get his lap back, already out to driver's left as we come to the green here, Connor.
So we got a big stack up way in the back of the pack. I think he was just trying to avoid that. A lot of drivers really checking each other up early on before they even got to the line as Nick Boyd's trying to get away for the lead here, but Race Clark
through 1 and 2. So far, so good on the restart here. Race Clark looking aggressive on driver's left as they come out of turn number 2. But Tanner Sharp is a driver I'm watching, Connor. He has been so solid in the last couple seasons, but he has not found his way to victory lane lately. So I think he might have a shot to win here tonight. As look at the 22 of Race Clark to the inside for the race lead.
I like what I've seen from him from the races I've watched. He has a lot of aggression. Whoa, the 22 got way sideways on the bottom of 3, but he does take the lead. I do like what that 3 machine's been doing so far this season. It hasn't resulted in wins just yet, but I know he has the pace to be able to keep up with the big boys, so I wouldn't be any surprise at all to see him take a checkered flag here tonight.
Clark, Boyd, Sharp, McKeevoy, Kolb as they come out of turn number 4 across the start-finish line for the 7th time. A couple of drivers in the background battling for position. Tanner Sharp looking out for second. He won't get there. Look at this scrap into turn 1. Donovan Smith in the 1 on the outside. Drew Eisman on the inside. Then Brady Smith and James Miller, your pole sitter, back in the 09. He sits 11th right now.
Yeah, I can see right there from just that 2x2 battle, it easily sorted itself out. Really hard for these guys to be 2x2. James Miller getting really pinched in turn number 2 on the inside from that 1 machine. Really difficult for these guys to stay right next to each other.
Side by side down the back straightaway now, and it's just a drag race here, and these straightaways are so long that you're really focusing on that corner exit, but the 09 going to dive on in. He'll take 10th spot away. Remember, he's on fresh tires, so is the 77, and this is only 2 laps on these tires that we're seeing tonight, Connor, and already it seems like, even with 2 laps on them, they're better to take than to not take.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's, I haven't been in the session yet. I don't know if there's unlimited sets or not, but I know the tires at a track like Indianapolis are so valuable. Oh, someone in a wall way in the back of the pack at a 4, not sure who that was.
That's Levi Zielinski's number 97. Just a slight scrape. He'll continue. No dramas there as the 77 goes by the 27. And it looks like Miller wants to fill the hole on the bottom, and he's going to dive up underneath late into turn 1 and get position alongside. And he'll get there, and that would be for 8th spot, and he takes it away.
Yeah, really nothing doing on that second lane as he's going to go way high in turn number 2 as well. Going to allow the 98 Jeffrey Fisher to take a look to the inside, but he cannot get any sort of run to make that work as we're starting to single file out a little bit here, but still battles here and there as Race Car continues to lead.
There's the 20 of Brady Smith and the 89 of Brent Miller as they run door-to-door into turn 3. And Monte Carlo versus Thunder Chicken as they head off into the corner. And wide goes, I think, is that the 27 again? Yes, it is. And Sam Close tucks up the inside. Cogswell, Close, and Donovan Smith all on older tires. And when I say older, they're not that old. But I do think tires are an advantage, but they don't seem to be gaining that many positions. It's just hard to pass here in general, it seems like.
Yeah, I think even if it was 5 to 8 laps older tires, I think it'd make a much bigger difference. Cogswell, he's going to go look at the inside, not going to go for it there. Now he goes to the inside, but I know tires, it doesn't matter what series it is. It doesn't even matter if it's IndyCars. The tires wear so badly, such a bad track because of how the corners are shaped, so you really have to look out for the tire wear. And if we get a long run, you got to watch those right front tires, make sure they don't blow, because it's going to be really sketchy if you go deep into a run on one set.
Front 3, all nose to tail, but here comes James Miller again, out on Drew Eisenman this time, but these drivers...
Wreck out of 2. Trying to see Levi Zielinski hit the tire barriers out of 2, I believe.
Caution is out at lap number 9. And that is Levi Zielinski. We saw him get into the fence out of turn 4 about a lap or 2 ago. There was actually fairly significant damage on the nose of that car here, Connor. So let's go back and have a look at maybe what had caused this. It was all by himself as he came out of turn 2. The car's just going to step out, and this is exactly what happened to Skylar Nissel in turn number 1, but he overcorrected and hit the outside wall. So it seems like these cars just want to step out on drivers tonight.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that he did get into the wall. Looked like he could have locked it down and maybe avoided more damage, but tried to throttle out of it, maybe save it, but that put him... I think he did miss the tire barriers, but that concrete safer barrier wall might be worse.
Yeah, he just missed the tires and ended up getting into the concrete, so that might damper the 97's day just a little bit as we sit here now. Whoa, he almost hit the pit wall, and you see the pit road is actually closed with those lights up there, so Zielinski will come on in and receive some service.
It's going to be really tough to climb back with damage like that. The front end damage is really going to hinder him down the straightaway, so it's going to be very difficult to get any sort of ground. He's going to have to hope for some wrecks here and there now, I think, so we'll see what happens for him. He might have Skylar Nissel to compete with for most front end damage right now, but we'll see how that holds up. I think we're going to see 2 drivers really struggling here already.
So with 2 cautions, we're already an 1/8 of the way into this race. If it were to go green from this point on, we'd have about an hour left worth of racing. I think that track position is the key to winning this race, at least for 5 to 15 lap runs. I think if we get a long run, I think you're going to obviously want tires. But now, everyone's going to peel off and hit pit lane this time. Nick Boyd going to lead them down. One driver's going to make a right-hand turn to stay out, and that would be the 09 of James Miller, and the car that was in front of him was the 98 of Jeff Fisher. Race Clark still has not made a pit stop. He told me in an interview previously before you jumped on here, Connor, that he says he's not all that great here, so he's just going to take the track position until he absolutely has to come get tires.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy. I don't know if he's 10-lap old tires right now, and not a lot of people stayed out with Race Clark. It's going to be interesting to see how those new tires get to him, how quickly they get to him. I expect it's going to take less than 2 laps, but I might be wrong. As Skylar Nissel, I believe, got the lucky dog right there, so he's going to get back on a lead lap, maybe able to muster something up. But I'm kind of interested to see, because this is a longer run than just a lap or 2 here, so we'll see how much 5+ laps on the tires really matter here.
So Skylar Nissel getting the free pass here, involved in a crash on lap number 2, and that was down in turn 1. As we wait for the field to re-rack and restack. Caution's sort of a lengthy process here just because of the size of the racetrack. It takes about 2 minutes to get around here under caution.
Yeah, only, was it 4 people staying out? So, I don't know. I have a feeling Boyd's going to get to the lead in 1 lap, so...
Yeah, I think for Race Clark, I think you're a lot safer if you've got a handful of drivers behind you. I think right now, I would say in the simplest way, possible, he's sort of screwed here. I mean, I think as soon as you get the restart with drivers on tires behind you, you're going to lose spots. James Miller was the pole sitter. He did give up some laps that he could have led for this tire advantage, so we'll see if it pays off here in the long run. But interestingly, James Miller did not choose to come back down. And everyone from Nick Boyd on back did just now. So Miller actually has more laps on his tires than Race Clark did when he came to pit lane. So if I am to pick anybody for a longer run, I'm going to pick that 74 Nick Boyd.
Yeah, I think Nick Boyd's going to be really good here. James Miller fakes to the pits and way past the cones. really got Jeffrey Fisher, really thinking he was going to pit there, but no. I think what Race Clark, these four that did not pit, I don't think they want a long run because they're just going to absolutely drop through the field most likely. So I think another 5 to 10 lap run and they'll pit, and a lot of people will probably pit with them if I had to guess. So I don't think they want this to go green.
Probably not, but we get the 1 to green. The lights are off on the pace car now as we get lined up for a single file restart. Having a quick look at the weather information. Have a look here at the bottom of the screen. I'm pointing at the track temp specifically, just because it's 100 degrees. And you know what just came over the racetrack is a big cloud. You can see it on the left-hand side of the screen. That might cool the racetrack off just a little bit, and we know cooler racetracks more forgiving. But Indianapolis is one of those places, Connor, that gets just blistering hot when the temperature rises.
Yeah, I don't know how much this cloud is going to matter, but by the way, it's really cool to see that visual like that, the cloud coming over track. Such a good feature that we luckily have. But yeah, the track temp might cool down a little bit, but I don't expect it to stay cool for very long. And it really doesn't matter how cool it gets, especially in these 87 cars. It could be 78, 78, but you're going to be slipping and sliding all over the place regardless, I believe.
Well, the other thing is the tire construction sort of leads itself to making the carcass temperature super hot. So even if the track isn't hot, your tires will overheat very quickly. So I think there's something, new tires, you're better off just getting new ones because they're cooler as we head off into turn number 3. So coming back to the restart here again, you're watching the 3 Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. If you want to follow along in real time, simtvbroadcasting.com/timing will get you a timing screen. Also just redid the website just a little bit, some aesthetic updates. So that'll be what you see when you head there tonight. So coming to the restart, take a pick here, Connor. I know you jumped in pretty late, but tire strategy or track position, what's your call? And do you think James Miller, who was so dominant last week on the road courses, do you think he's the guy to pick?
I'm kind of more interested. I think Tanner Sharp has enough aggression and enough pace tonight to maybe get it done. We'll have to see how the tire strategy folds out, but I'd personally rather have tires than track position at a track like this, but we'll see what happens. I think that 3 has something tonight. Green
flag back in the air, and the 74 Nick Boyd moves over immediately to driver's left to try to get a run, and a big misshift by the 02 of Llewellyn.
Oh.
He's going to be in the fence as we head down to turn 1. Going to be 3 wide off into the corner, and Llewellyn must have missed a gear. And we talked about how difficult it is to shift these cars, but it sent everyone in a panic, and thankfully just the biggest victim was Llewellyn himself with some right side damage.
Yeah, I don't know how there wasn't a bigger wreck because of that. Not a lot of room to get around on the front stretch at Indy, so good job by everyone getting around that. Llewellyn had a little bit of damage. He should be able to continue fine. Race Clark still in the lead. James Miller second, Fisher third, so the new tires didn't... I don't think they're going to get Nick Boyd to the lead in 1 lap, but he's definitely already charging. He's way loose into turn 3. Look at him sliding the right rear.
Oh, man, Llewellyn way out wide, and we saw that's what got the 11 of Skylar Nissel, caught him off guard, ran out of the rubbered-in groove, found himself in the fence. Look at the underside, the 44 of Michael Goodman.
Clark into the wall a little bit. James Miller going to the bottom. Race Clark barely tapped the wall with that right rear. He might be fine, but a lot of time lost there.
And Miller will move ahead to the race lead as they come across the line into turn 1. New leaders, 09.
Yeah, just pulls right into the front. Good run on the bottom there. Is a good job getting around the 22. That could have been a bigger exit there, but James Miller maybe trying to get some ground in front of the newer tires here early, so we'll see if he can pull away a little bit. I haven't seen anyone even have time to pull away. Oh, we got a wreck in turn 2, I believe.
Oh.
Someone's into the grass.
That is Michael Goodman's 44. He's found his way at the access road at the exit of pit lane, and he's actually sort of collected himself. We'll stay green. Let's go back and have a quick look at maybe what caused that as we have a look off into turn 2. He runs a little bit wide. Ooh, there might have been a touch. Yeah, from the 89 of Brent Miller.
I don't know if there was a touch. I think he might have just gotten sideways and then maybe because he was sideways chopped across Miller. I don't know if Grunberg got into him. If he didn't, it was very close, but another good save. And we continue here as James Miller still trying to put a gap on Race Clark, but Clark is still right all over him as the 98 and 74 kind of pull away these 4 from the rest of the field.
Riding on board with Nick Boyd as we head off into turn number 1. You can hear the tires working overtime. You can see the slide that the 98 has on the rear tires as they head through 1. And now Fisher looks up the inside of the 22, slams on the binders, and Boyd's going to slide wide at the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, look at these guys sliding all over the place. I think it's the right rear that we have to worry about blowing out if we get a long run, not the right front. These guys are really, I can't tell if they're pushing it or it's just that out of control. This is insane to watch.
I think they're really pushing it hard off into 3. You can see the nose slide on the 09 as he tries to get the car rotated into the corner. Fisher runs wide. It seems like this is like a slot car race. If you miss the slot, you're not going to make the corner. They make their way through turn 4.
Everyone getting pretty orderly so far. Like I said, the top 4 pretty much separated from the rest of the field with Tanner Sharp just trying to hold on. At 22, another bad run out of turn 4. Jeffrey Fisher's going to pounce.
Fisher to the race, lower to second place as they come off, and he slots right in front of the 22 as they head across the start-finish line. Miller beginning to grow that gap for that race lead.
And I honestly did think the new tires would make more of a difference, but Nick Boyd still kind of stuck there in, I believe, still 4th. Really nothing he can do right now. Can't get under anyone. Not getting better runs out of the turns like I expected him to, but I think he might have a shot at Race Clark. Clark's really struggling out of turns 2 and 4, especially 4.
Llewellyn's got big issues. He was almost scraping the wall in turn 1, continues to drop down the order, so that damage must be hurting him. There's Matt Grunberg in the number 54 again. Started at the tail of the field like he's done in the past. He's up to, looks like 12th, going for 11th now into turn 3. Gonna slot in behind the 11 of Donovan Smith as we go back to the front. Here's first for the race lead now as Fisher goes to the top spot out of 4.
Yeah, not sure what happened. James Miller threw the little short shoot between 3 and 4, but Fisher got a great run under him to get that lead away, so he's going to lead a lap here as James Miller's going to get a shove from Race Clark down the front straight. He'll get all the way back to the 98, but no move is going to be made. These 4 all over each other right now.
Pushing those front tires now as they come out of turn 1, the 09 almost up into the concrete. I'm not sure that I could tell which of these drivers is quickest. They're all kind of swapping positions right now. I wonder if Nick Boyd is just back here biding his time and just waiting for a chance to strike, or if he's pushing as hard as the front 3.
I don't know. I'd assume the way he's not getting through these guys, I think he's trying to conserve his tires and his sheet metal, I believe. I don't think he really wants to really send it in on any of these guys. The 09 just looks so sideways, but I think I would have gone for the lead right now, but I don't know how much of a difference the tires are making, but I would have thought he would have been close to the lead, if not in the lead right now, so maybe just trying to save something for longer. In the run, he's gets so close to the outside wall out of 4.
Riding on board with James Miller now as they chase each other down the front straightaway. Complete lap number 17. Less than an hour worth of racing left as we head off into turn 1, and you're going to have to get more and more cautious as the run goes on. I think I saw glowing brake rotors in the front of the 09 car off into 1, so already leaning heavily on the binders to get these cars slowed down.
He might have scraped the wall into turn 2 a little bit as well, but he keeps his pace as I think we're going to be using a lot of brake. You usually don't see that, especially in today's era of NASCAR. You don't see a lot of braking at this track, but really back in the older packages, you saw a lot of brake being used up here. Not enough to see a lot of brake rotors glowing here as Nick Boyd's going to go for that 3rd position on Race Clark. Easily going to get the job done there, but I think we're going to see a lot more of that. It might be a bit surprising, but we're going to see a lot of brake being used today.
And it's not something you would typically see during the daytime, especially those brake rotors glowing. But you see Matt Grunberg up to 11th, and his progress, how long it's taken him to move up positions, is certainly indicative of how difficult it is to pass. Oh, look at the 84, almost into the concrete out of turn 4. And here comes the 26 of Chuck Sweeting making his return this week up the inside for 13th.
This is definitely a pack I'm sort of cautious about. They're not completely on top of each other like the leaders are, but you just never know with the guys that are outside the top 10 racing hard for what they got. Grunberg got a great run on the bottom through turn 1, going to look to the inside. Finally getting into the top 10, getting understand close for that position as Brett Miller tries to follow him.
Now down the back straightaway, we're going to watch the speeds climb up as we head off into turn number 3. We'll ride on board with Sam Close, who's watching from behind. How about 186 miles an hour before jumping on the brakes for turn 3, and then pushing up the racetrack, kind of missed the corner entry as the 89 slips up for 11th.
In the 180s all the way down to the 130s. That just proves how much brake these guys are going to have to use throughout the rest of this race to get the car even close to the bottom line where you want to be, as Matt Hackathorn riding with him. Just trying to look for anywhere to go behind the 1 and I believe the 26. I think that is Chuck Sweeting. He's got nowhere to go here. You got nowhere to go when they're 2 wide. You can't go 3 wide, especially this early in the race. You just got to bide your time.
Up the inside, the 26 is going to slide. He's out of control right in front of Hackathorn. Lock it down, Chuck, and keep it out of the fence. He's going to dive for the apron, and he saves it. Watch the Armco on the left. Nice job.
It's the 2nd or 3rd save I've seen, and I didn't even get here before the race started. Great job by Sweeting. Trying to rejoin. Got to be careful. Almost Mike Stevens almost got into him there. He's not very happy about that, but yeah, it's still a really good save. Good car control by the 26.
Looks like a scene out of the Pixar Cars as he dirt tracks it through the infield there. And he's gotten it back straight, but all the way back in 22nd positions. That's going to cost him a bunch of time. Look at Cogswell, way out of the groove for Gruenberg in the 54. He goes through. Brent Miller going to be catching him on corner exit. Going to look drivers right now to drivers left as they approach the start-finish line.
You think of how much these guys are sliding, it's going to be like a dirt track. You're going to see that way top line get in there, and then we're going to see that wear out, and then the bottom's going to be better. It's almost like a dirt track with how these guys are all over the track. Not by choice. You want to be on that bottom, but it's so hard to get it turned in. These guys have no choice.
Ooh, the A9 slipped a little bit mid-corner. You're right, though. This track is going to transition quite a bit because the line will rubber in and help these cars sort of track a bit better. But they're sort of hunting around right now, I think, is the best way. That you set the car off in the corner, and it's just going to slide sideways until it hooks on grip. And seems like that's what everyone's trying to figure out right now is where is my car going to hook. Look at the 74, big slide there as he gets to the tailpipes of the 09 for second.
Yeah, we're seeing this front pack get a little bit bigger, a little more packed up. Fisher still leading. James Miller kind of holding Nick Boyd up a little bit as Race Clark's going to look to the inside on the 74. 74 got way newer tires than the 22, but this doesn't look like he has the pace all of a sudden. Race Clark's going to get that position back as we're seeing Tanner Sharp, Drew Eisenman, 5th and 6th, start to get in the picture a little bit, but these top 6 are gone.
Dustin Dewar, trouble for him in turn number 4. Let's go back and have a quick look at how he just got loose here. Oh, that's a bad spot to catch the fence.
No yellow for it either.
No, that's going to certainly hurt him. Look at this battle for second behind the race leader, Jeffrey Fisher. As they drag race down, this is such a long straightaway here, off into a 90-degree bend up the road. And the 22 has position, but Miller wants to go the long way around.
Tanner Sharp side by side with Eisman back there, as well as Race Clark trying to keep it on the inside, keep it as low as he can, trying to get that second position away. He's going to get it done as Nick Boyd slides yet again through turn number 4 there. These guys are kind of letting this 98 get away a little bit. Jeffrey Fisher opening up a bit of a lead.
Fisher now pulling about a half a second on Race Clark, Miller, and Boyd. Drew Eisenman hanging back there in 5th, but he's got pressure from Tanner Sharp at the number 3 Mountain Dew Chevrolet. Off into turn 1. We're well past the quarter mark of this race. McEvoy and Matt Gruenberg, couple teammates trading spots there, and McEvoy's not going to hold him up.
Yeah, good job trying to chase the leaders down in any sort of way. They're about 6 seconds back, so if this does somehow go green to the end, they're going to need to do a lot of swapping, a lot of hard driving, and probably a little bit of tire strategy to get back up there because those top 6 are way out ahead of the rest of the field.
Here comes Justin Kolb on the inside of McEvoy as well. So Kolb and the Nintendo 52 will go on by. And Brent Miller sees the hole open. I'm not sure he'll be able to get there. No, the door slams shut before he can stick the nose up. But still tracking forward.
Oh, Cole got into a wall just as he made that pass, so he's got big right front damage all of a sudden as all these guys are going to get right back by him.
Yeah, and that's fairly significant damage. Got real tight out of turn 4. Now Cogswell going to go to the bottom, 3 wide as they come across the line.
Brent Miller doesn't want any of that.
Going to back right out and let the 27 go. Not worth it.
No, not at all worth it to do that, but...
Oh! That was tight.
Cogswell still sliding up the track. Kolb starting to really struggle here as Brent Miller's going to try to make the move back under him, looking inside turn 2, not risking it, not worth it at this time, as this battle is going to kind of go on for a little bit now. As I'm looking at the times last lap, really Gruenberg got away from that whole pack there, but he's still only 6 seconds behind, really not gaining anything on these top 6. As Tanner Sharp's actually starting to fall out of that top 5, that lead pack, as Jeffrey Fisher is still keeping a healthy lead over Race Clark.
Watching Clark just slide that car. He told me earlier he's no good at these places. I would say otherwise. He's doing a great job right now. 094 tire slide out of turn number 4. Take a shot every time we say slide, and you'll be definitely drunk by the halfway point. That's only 15 laps from now.
Yeah, we're not even close. It's going to be a rough night if you do that, so I wouldn't recommend it. But hey, it's your decision if you're a man or a woman. You don't discriminate.
Okay, all right.
Hey,
if you're a man.
I did not mean that. Sorry. Let's pay attention to Jeffrey Fisher leading, would you?
Well, I want to watch Nick Boyd. You know what I noticed is how early these drivers are getting off throttle for the corners. They're braking way before the turn happens. Just watch.
Yeah, he's here, 185, 186, getting up to 190, already on the brakes, well before you would ever even think about it in any sort of other car. Really amazing to see, in a way, how much the fall off costs you a lot of time if you're not careful. I'm still really surprised he wasn't able to get to the lead. I think he's just balanced out in fourth at this point, and there's really nothing he can do about it.
Cross the line now to complete lap number 25 for third place now. Nick Boyd drops out to the left to try to get out of the mirrors of the... Whoa, here comes the 22 for the race lead. He got a great run out of 4. Here he comes.
He's going to get it done, easily done. Don't know where Fisher lost that time, but the 22 gets the lead right back after he lost it so many laps ago.
And Jeffrey Fisher throttling up a little bit early to try to build that run. Can he keep the car on the lowdown? He's going to look drivers right. Oh! That they're going to touch as they head down the back straightaway.
That was way too close. Race Clark tried to block all the way to the bottom just about. They're lucky they didn't wreck. James Miller's going to push the 22, go to the outside as Fisher's going to try to get the race lead right back. Dives way into turn number 3. He's going to clear him again. Is it going to stick? I don't know if it's going to. Just barely misses the wall.
Big dive for Jeffrey Fisher. They almost touched on the back straightaway. I think they did touch. It was just a scrape. Now Race Clark is all fired up. He's going to have a run out of the exit at turn number 4. Here he comes again. Side by side for the race lead here at Indianapolis. Jeffrey Fisher, Race Clark. Monte Carlo versus Thunderbird.
Just barely trying to get a little bit of side draft down the straightaway. I think James Miller's just trying to let him go, but he gets all the way close to the 98's rear bumper. There's bit of trouble in the back, not sure what happened there, but this race for the lead is getting really testy. There's actually a bit of a wreck in turn 4 last time by Brent Miller, got a bump from Donovan Smith, but they were able to save it yet again.
Now their line is turn 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a 5th driver joining the party. That's Drew Eisenman watching from the background. Fisher again with a big run and a push. 2 teammates working together, and that's where Fisher's going to get his run this time, and breaks early to not run into the back of the 22, but Race Clark leaves him a lane.
I think Race Clark just wanted to make sure he didn't get turned because of how much of a shove James Miller is giving. I don't think Fisher even wanted to go for the lead. They're just so caught out by the shove he got as James Miller's going to get another good run to the rear bumper of Fisher here, and we'll see if they can garner another run up as Nick Boyd's trying to look for a way by.
Giving him a little bit of a push as they come across the start-finish line now. And Fisher has got to run, but nowhere to go with it here. He's going to look. Oh, here comes Nick Boyd up the inside. They're going to touch there, and Miller gets shoved out of the way for third place.
A little bit of left front damage, but I don't think it's going to absolutely kill his run. Nick Boyd just kind of didn't get to the bottom there, but you can't blame him with how hard these cars are to handle. James Miller was just trying to keep his car clean. I don't think he's going to be very happy about what's happened, but he's still running okay.
Down the straightaway again, Race Clark leads by about 1/10 of a second, about half a car length over Jeffrey Fisher. Now it's the 74 of Boyd splitting the teammates now, so they can't work together as efficiently as they were before. Race Clark struggling to get to the bottom of the racetrack now, but Fisher has found it. But Fisher can't quite get as good of a run out of turn 4 as his teammate was, so I'm not sure he'll be able to make much of a pass here unless he can clean up the exits.
And also if he gets another shove like he was getting down the other straightaways combined with a good run out of the corners, I think he will have a shot on him. But he's got a good run down the front stretch here. I don't think he's close enough to take a look. Just going to stay right behind him, maybe waiting for Nick Boyd to get closer to him.
Drew Eisenman dropping off just a little bit as they work their way through turn number 1. Now all the way out to the concrete wall. Thunderbird out front and a handful, a trio in fact, of Monte Carlos behind him. Boyd completely misses the turn in for turn number 2. That's going to cost him and James Miller some time as we head down the back straight. Now it's just Fisher and Boyd all the way themselves while 3rd and 4th battle with each other.
Yeah, Eisman just trying to stay with him. Tanner Sharp, he has a bit of front end damage from that restart stack up, so trying to get something going here. I don't think he's really, I don't know if the damage is hurting him, maybe wore out the tires, could be a little bit of both. I'm watching Matt Gruenberg here. Even though these guys have been battling really hard for the race lead, he's only really gained just under a second. So even though those guys are racing so hard for so much, that 54 just can't close in on the leaders that much.
Cross start finish line now to complete lap number 29. It'll be 11 laps to halfway. Clark, Fisher, Boyd, Miller, Eisenman your top 5. Then Sharp, Gruenberg up to 7th. Cogswell, Kolb, and close the top 10. Donovan Smith hits pit lane and the pit wall. And I have to wonder if that was on purpose. Not the contact. I'm saying the pit lane entry. Let's have a look.
I think he just got really sideways and he couldn't catch it. I mean, he got way sideways there.
Oh yeah, just gets he was out of control and he's going to chase it all the way down to the wall and almost had it miss, clobbered the cone. Frustrating day for Donovan Smith so far.
Hey, hit the cone again just for good measure. I think he just overshot his pit stall, so not a good day so far for him. So we'll see if he can somehow recover. We'll see if the undercut maybe works. We don't know. Maybe it could be a blessing in disguise if the strategy works for him.
Sam Close in the number 5 is working his way by Justin Kolb in the 52. Close has not gone really anywhere since the drop of the green flag, sort of been stuck in this 8th, 9th, 10th area. Justin Kolb, same deal there. Jordan McEvoy has dropped backwards 4 spots, and Hackathorn is pretty much where he started as well. Big slide for the 52 out of turn 4.
Able to catch that one before he hit the pit wall or the pit wall divider there, as we saw in the Indy 500. Never wanted to see that. Able to keep it clean. These guys really starting to struggle off the turns more and more. They were struggling on the first laps on their tires. It's only going to get worse and worse from here.
New change for second place. Nick Boyd goes to second in front of James Miller in the 09. That lines him up with his teammate again as they head off into turn number 3. That has Eisenman caught back up, but Race Clark starting to drive away. Do you think he's driving easier and taking it easier on his tires while the others kind of use up their stuff behind him?
I think after the battle he had with Fisher, he's probably just trying to drive away from all those guys. I don't think he wants to be involved in any sort of battles after how sketchy that got. So I think he's just trying to stay out of trouble by building a bit of a lead here. But Nick Boyd still does have the fresher tires, so we'll see if Boyd can probably reel him in. He's going to have the help from the 09 and the 98.
Kind of running long on tires here. We're on 21 laps. I would imagine you could probably go, I don't know, 30 maybe on fuel and tires before you really want to come in. We haven't really seen anybody elect to come in on their own yet. Maybe they're going to try to push it and try to go to the end of this run before they do such a thing. 8 laps to halfway when we come back across the line.
Yeah, I think with the way the fall off looks the times look, I don't know if we're really going to see any short pits really work out, especially with how big of a track is. The first laps on the new tires for Race Clark, for example, he was running 56.6s, 56.7s. Right now, he ran a 56 flat last time by, really only a 4/10 difference, so there's no reason to short pit, not a lot of time to be gained, so I think pretty much everyone's going to stretch the fuel all the way to the end as far as they can.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, so I have Race Clark's last lap as a 57.0 and his best a 56.5, so really only a half a second or so to be gained. You see the 3 have a big slide as we have a battle for second as they come across the start-finish line, 74.09, and move Miller up to second place again.
They almost hit into turn number 1 on accident there, but 09, he looked good, got a bit of contact from Nick Boyd. His Boyd almost into the outside wall, and a 1 gathers it up, but James Miller still looks pretty sharp right now, trying to get up to P2. Race Clark has been closed in already. 09 actually has a really good run out of turn 2.
Miller has a fantastic run out of turn 2. He's going to eat up all that ground that the 22 had just built for himself. Going to close in a car length, now half a car length, and now a quarter car length as they head into turn 3 behind him. The 98 goes by the 74, but the battle for the lead is back on again. Oh, car
Durr's into the wall. Dustin Durr getting lapped right there. Got into the wall trying to let those guys by. Still good, though.
Clark and the Diet Dr. Pepper car has held on so far since for the majority of the laps since the restart. Come across the line with Miller keeping the pressure on. Again, speeds climbing well over, how about 189 off into turn 1 that time?
And that's a really fast time. It seems like they're getting faster and faster. We saw 186 on an onboard earlier, and now we're getting close to 190, almost above 190 here. So I doubt they're speeding up, but it just seems that way right now.
And I think it's all about Miller. His corner exits have been really good in comparison to the other people that we've ridden with, so I think that might be helping as well. Nick Boyd having a look at third, but has to tuck back in line for the draft. Eisenman not able to do much with these front 4. It seems like it's going to be one of these 4 drivers up front. Race Clark with the blue oval banner, the other 3 with the golden bow tie. But so far, Race Clark has led the majority of the laps since the restart, 14 in total. Miller behind him has only led 5.
Yeah, it looks like these 4 are going to be hard to beat, but I wouldn't count the 54 out of Gruenberg yet. He's still gaining time, not as much time as I'd expect, but he is still gaining time. He's actually going for that 6th position on Tanner Sharp right now. Sharp really struggling on those older tires with the front end damage, so Gruenberg going to get up to P6 here, but he's still got about 5.5 seconds to gain.
Wiggle and a wobble for the leader. James Miller closes in a little bit tighter now, and he's right on the rear bumper of that race leader. It's all about getting the runoff. You see he's going to back it up. You see the 22 kind of driving in a slide. The 09 just gets a much straighter shot off, but that time Clark did get a decent enough run to stretch that gap just a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how smooth you are. All of these drivers, it doesn't matter if you have the best tires in the world right now. You're going to be fighting this Cup car right now. It's going to be really difficult as Race Clark really slides up the track. Not a good entrance or exit out of that corner. 09's going to be all over it. Might have a shot out of 4 here.
Well, the problem is that James Miller kind of followed him into that. He drove in a little too hot as well. Had he been hugging the inside line, he might have had a run at the leader, but kind of followed him in. Both those team cars, as they came out at 4, almost catching the barriers. Fisher now back to his teammate, might be able to push him to the lead.
Starting to see these three actually kind of starting to put a gap on Nick Boyd. Boyd starting to fall back a little bit. Maybe he wore his tires out too much. Also, he's trying to fall into the clutches of Eisman here. He is really struggling off at the turns. Eisman's got a big run on him as those two are starting to fade out of this battle.
Other battles on the racetrack are raging right now, mostly towards the bottom half of the top 10. We'll briefly show you this one. Justin Kolb in the 52, Jordan McEvoy, Matt Hackathorn, Brent Miller all together in a fight. But we're going to stay up front because this is the one that has the biggest consequences. Off into 3. Miller closed into the braking zone, but might have overcooked just a bit.
Yeah, he is getting very close to that curb. He's actually been hitting the curb. At least last time he hit the curb out of turn 4. Really trying to get as low as he can on exit. Maybe getting a bit too low sometimes, but he had a really good run there. I don't think it's going to be enough to get the race Clark, but he's slowly and steadily learning how to get out of that corner better than the 22.
Across the line, 190 miles an hour for Miller. He just tapped it for a second before he got in the binders for the first corner. And trying to keep it tucked in tight behind the 22. And a big slip up there for Race Clark, and now James Miller's all over him for the race lead.
He's all over him. He's all but hitting the 22 in turn number 2, right on his back bumper. Doesn't get much of a better run than Race Clark, but he will have the draft. Doesn't have the bump draft from Jeffrey Fisher, but he might have a look here in the turn number 3.
There's the push. Miller going to have a look out to driver's left. No, he'll stay in line here. Let Race Clark overcook. He entered really shallow, tries to chuck the car in and huck it in and turn it. And he's still correcting, and you can see how much input. Whoa. Oh, wow, Miller got really close to the wall there. You can see how much input Race Clark has in right steering through these corners. He is driving in a slide right now, and this might be it. Miller's got a great run.
Yeah, he's really got a good one going here. He stayed behind him down the backstretch, maybe tried to set it up into turn 1. I don't think he's close enough unless he really wants to dive in here. I don't think he's going to have it.
No, he was definitely close. Now Jeffrey Fisher right behind him, a little bit of a safety net between him and Nick Boyd, who's not a teammate of these middle two, second and third. Oh, there's a touch for the wall. The 09 Miller catches it on the turn-in.
I don't think it cost him much time, though. He almost did that the last time by. He was able to recover. This time he does scrape it, but it might have helped him. Look at the run he's got. Now he's going to have a look at the turn 2 for sure. No, he stays behind him. Now there he goes.
Out to driver's left. Battle for the lead. 22-09, Ford and Chevy into turn number 3. And through goes James Miller with an epic pass for the top spot.
I don't know how that worked for him. Scraping the wall in turn 2, entering turn 2 might be the new move. That really hurt Race Clark. Then that move happening. Jeffrey Fisher's going to get by for the second position. Clark trying to hold it around the outside. Bit of a slide job from Fisher right in front of a 22.
Yeah, big moment there as they come across the line. This is a spectacular battle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Miller, Fisher, Clark, Boyd, Eisenman. As we approach lap number 39, off into 1. Big slide by the 22. Hucked it in way too hot up the racetrack.
And Nick Boyd couldn't pounce because he followed him in the same exact thing. I think that's a theme we're seeing. One person does it, the other person just follows just because. As Nick Boyd actually did it again in turn 2. Going to lose that 5th position to Drew Eisenman for the time being.
Miller now going to extend this gap just a little bit as he's got his own room to race. Then teammate Jeffrey Fisher, and look at Drew Eisenman. He's gotten by Nick Boyd, but Boyd says no thank you. He wants to get back by now on the inside, and they're going to slide off in there really tight off into 3.
That's a tight pinch from Eisenman. When you see a lot of sliding like that, you typically don't want to pinch too hard, but Eisenman's taking that chance. 74 almost into a left rear right there in 4.
And now move the 77 up inside the top 5 into 4th place now. Coming across the line, James Miller in control of the field at lap number 40 and off into turn 1.
About to get halfway next time by here as Miller leads. He's top 5 all by themselves. The draft must be really important. Matt Grunberg cleared a 6 for a while now, but the gap's been steady at around 5 seconds. He was a lot faster, not a lot faster, he was a lot faster than the 74 of Nick Boyd, but actually a bit slower still than the 09 and the 98 last time by, so he's going to need some help, probably some strategy to get back up there with those guys.
Down the long back straightaway here at Indy, and watch them all into the braking zones. Fisher pushing the issue, so does the 74 of Nick Boyd, but now Fisher a little bit wide in turn 3. Race Clark has got his car righted and heading towards the front again as we come out of 4. Miller going to extend that gap, but Race Clark looking like he might have the pace to get back to second at some point.
Yeah, he's trying to make it work. He probably would have stayed second if the pass didn't happen so late into the entrance of turn 3, but it really hurt his entry there. He wasn't able to really pinch his 09. It just let the 98 get a huge run up, so we'll see if he makes any sort of move to get those positions back.
Halfway point here at Indianapolis for the 3 Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. James Miller, Jeffrey Fisher, Race Clark, Drew Eisman have having an epic fight so far. Tanner Sharp hits pit lane. This would be a scheduled stop here, Connor.
Yeah, he was really struggling as the run went on, so I think he had no choice but to try something different. He was really falling back there, so we'll see if this gets him anywhere close to those top 5. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to watch what happens with him, but he's been really struggling, and this is just a shot in the dark here.
Yeah, and he's going to have to make something happen. Again, I thought he would be good enough to win this race earlier, but he got kind of back on in the traffic after getting a little bit of contact on that previous restart. And since then, he's been sort of struggling to find any more track position.
Ooh, Nick Boyd's coming into pit road this time by from 5th position, so he's trying to make a play here, maybe to get the lead by short pitting.
I like this call. I mean, everyone's going to have to come soon, so I like coming in a little bit earlier if you're that close to the lead but not quite in it. I like that call. If you're James Miller or Jeffrey Fisher, I think you run it all the way out to the end of the tank. Race Clark, you could probably do a couple different things.
Matt Hackathorn in 12th position is going to be the next driver to come in after Sharp and Boyd, so we'll see if that gains him any sort of time, maybe get himself into the top 10. But now my eyes are going to be on that 74 machine. We'll see if he can take the lead away.
So Boyd is into the pit box here, and now all eyes on him. Can he get back out on the racetrack and get the lead away from Miller and Fisher and Clark, who have been in command of this race so far?
Whoa, Fisher's way up the groove. He really missed turn 3 there. Race Clark's going to pounce and get to the inside of him. And Drew Eisman's going to look for it as well. He's going to
go. Oh, do they touch?
Jeffrey Fisher.
And Tanner Sharp is in the middle of it. He gets tagged and sent around. Caution is out. And the leaders get involved in an accident, and so does the 3 who had just come to pit lane and would have been the free pass recipient.
And that's not going to be good for Nick Boyd because he's not going to get out ahead of a pace car. I think he's not quite sure. James Miller's out of in turn 1 right now, so I think he is going to be lapped. That was just a bit of a mistake, a bit of a misjudgment by Eisman.
Well, that is a big mistake. That's going to cost a whole lot more people some time as well. Here is a look. The 22 has this run. He's going to juke over to the left just in time to get there. Then the 77 just tries and just gets in too hot.
And Tanner Sharp on his new tires, just nowhere to go. 3 really fast race cars solidly in the top 10 involved. Really unfortunate to see that. Just I wouldn't say get in over his 2 head, just
I just misjudged it.
Yeah,
I mean, you can see he didn't really want to get in there, but that's just how things worked out. Right on board of the 3 of Tanner Sharp, and see what he saw off the nose of his car. Again, he was 1 lap down and would have been in the free pass position had a caution come out, and he had missed it. But right there's the touch, and just locks up trying to miss it, gets sent around.
Yeah, he already missed the bottom. If he actually made the bottom of the corner in turn 4, he probably would have avoided, but it was already way too late. He had nowhere to go.
Yeah, this man cannot buy luck this season, or last season for that matter. He has just been the recipient of every bad piece of luck that Levi Zielinski had the previous years, AJ Stravato in the ORL series. It just seems like luck is passed around between leagues here on SimTV, and Sharp is on the receiving end of a whole lot of bad stuff lately.
Yeah, he's got to hopefully something turns around for him, but it just hasn't been looking good so far as the leaders are going to come into pit road. Nick Boyd, yes, he did get lapped, so he's not going to be able to really get the lead out of all this like he really probably wanted. So, a bit unfortunate for him. Hackathorn and Tanner Sharp, obviously Sharp involved. Hackathorn got a bit screwed by that. They'll get some wave rounds. I'm not sure if anyone got the lucky dog.
And this is important to note. I mean, usually in a normal Cup Series car, if you come to pit lane, you can get back out on the racetrack and not go a lap down, but the pit stops on these cars are so long that you end up being more than a lap down, which, you know, that strategy, it would have worked great for Nick Boyd had this been the modern stock cars, but just obviously not that situation tonight. Look at Matt Grunberg coming off pit lane. He'll gain a couple spots here.
And Race Clark actually got a better run out of his pit stall, so he's going to take basically the lead as Grunberg out of all that is going to get all the way up to 3rd on track. So this is big, the 54. I didn't think if it went green all the way he was going to be able to get to those top 5, but now he has a real good shot.
Caution out at lap number 44. Matt Grunberg up into 3rd place. Race Clark has been in command of everything so far, or at least more than everybody else had. 18 laps led of the 44 that we've completed. Going to take a very short break here for the rest of the caution. We'll be back at the restart. Back for the restart here in the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. James Miller, Grunberg, McKeevoy, Close, and Fisher your top 5. Race Clark came back down pit lane to get tires and fuel again. The 77 of Eisenman had an EOL penalty for that collision that triggered this caution with the 98 and the 3 car. To the restart now, lap number 47 of 80 on Sim TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn as we approach the restart zone. Pace cars to make the hard left onto pit lane right there. And now the run to the restart. Single file line. Saw misshifts earlier. And a lot of patience here as drivers get lined up for the restart. And there's the green flag and back underway from Indy.
Actually seemed like a decent start. Jeffrey Fisher going to be the first to jump out of line. Decent amount. Oh, there's a big wreck at the start-finish line. 1 or 2 cars. Eisenman's involved. Nick Boyd as well.
Oh, man, that's a big one. Nick Boyd is in it. The 77's in it. I think that's the 11 of Skylar Nissel. He might have just gotten through it. Caution right back out again.
I don't know what happened there. I was about to say that it doesn't seem like there was much of a stack up there, but something must have happened. I don't know. Tanner Sharp was involved as well.
Here's a look.
Let's see.
Oh, right in front of him, I think.
Oh, right here.
The big jump.
Yeah. Wow. 77 got on the brakes. 74 did as well. The 3 couldn't react in time. They were two. I don't know what. I'm wondering where the stack up started there. It started way in front of those two that were side by side.
Oh, yeah, you can see it there on the left.
Yeah, look at all them laying back, and it just starts building up more and more. Race Clark actually almost got damage out of that, and those 3 were just innocent bystanders of just something that it's unfortunate. It's just an occurrence that happens a lot in these single file starts.
Yeah, it really started up about 7th or 8th spot. That's what started tangling everybody up. Caution right back out, and Nick Boyd in the 74. His night has just gone from bad to worse. Kind of caught out on that last caution. Nothing he did wrong, just wrong place, wrong time. Same thing there.
Yeah, he lost a lot of track position because of that, and he probably still would have been fine. Might have still had a chance to get to the top 10, maybe top 5, but it's all gone up in smoke at this point just because of an unfortunate checkup, so he's going to really struggle to get through the field now.
Back in a moment for the restart from Indianapolis. Hang tight.
For those who competed decades ago, speeding down highways, through towns, country roads. For those who sat watching on the sides of the street, who found solace in chaos and thunderous speed. Even for those who grew up without the sights and the sounds, and live without race cars shaking the ground. Who don't understand why racing appeals to our fascination, wonder, and the way that we feel. A purpose-built place to camp and spend time with friends, watching racing together until darkness descends. Though no longer do the streets rumble and roar, there's a place just for this, a park to explore.
A road racing circuit before the assault. The 4 twisting, beautiful miles at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. For 6 brutal, ear-shattering hours, its serenity will be violated by the raw power of screaming racing machines. It's the famed end-of-season endurance classic, the Road America 500. The specially constructed race circuit at Elkhart Lake at normal speed is a scenic 4-mile drive through fall-tinted Wisconsin countryside.
Hidden by forests near Elkhart Lake, not a path nor a trail, but a road meant to race. In a town too quiet, the refuge we seek. Road America, the racetrack, the national park of speed.
If there's one place that defines American motorsport, it's here. The sandy beaches a few miles away held races for decades. It's where NASCAR was born. They need a place to race, a super speedway so fast and so huge that the cars could run flat out all the way around. So they built it. 1 million square yards of earth was moved to create the banking. The void left behind became Lake Lloyd. And 2.5 miles of asphalt created more than just one of the most beautiful racetracks in the world. It built the foundation of NASCAR. In the decades that followed, Daytona became hallowed ground. The trophies here mean more than any other. Win the 500, put your name on the Harley J. Earl Trophy. Win the 24 hours and strap a Rolex on your wrist. The banks are not always kind. They're not always fair. And while Daytona wins bring a statistical highlight to any career, it's the losses that make it seem pointless. But for every untimely ending, there is a triumphant healing. For every emotional victory, a mind-numbing realization.
Tom Foreman fighting for every inch that he could possibly get. Won the last TCR race of last year, Road Atlanta, starting things off in exactly the right style. It is victory for Tom Foreman and the LA Automobile team.
Back for the restart. Green flag back in the air for Indianapolis. And again, a fairly clean restart up front. Will the checkup in the back cause another collision? Not this time. 30 laps to go from Indy.
Everyone did a good job kind of staying orderly that time, but I think everyone realized what mistakes they made as we're going to see what Matt Gruenberg's made of. He finally has the track position to play the lead, possibly the win here, trying to look to the inside of James Miller.
You pointed out under the break there, 93 degrees. The track's cooled down significantly. Going to make the track a little bit grippier for the final 30 laps of this race. Now drag race down the backstretch. Two teammates going for it, Miller and Gruenberg, who started back at 20th earlier tonight. Here he is in the tailpipes of the 09, the race leader off into 3.
I think we're going to see people getting caught out by how much more grip there might be because of the cooler temps. I saw James Miller really wheeling it out of turn number 2, kind of surprised by how much grip he might have had. So these guys might be hanging on for a little bit, trying to get used to the track again after a lot of laps under yellow.
Across the start-finish line, the 27 of Cogswell a little bit loose. He's going to try to come back over, and Chuck Sweeting blocks off the 52 of Justin Kolb.
Meanwhile, the 09 and 54 getting separated from the rest of the field. Jordan McEvoy, who's slotted himself into 3rd position after all the drama has ensued. Jeffrey Fisher, even though he wrecked, he's been able to stay out of trouble. He's got a spinner in turn number 1. It's Michael Goodman, and he saves it again.
We carry on the 44 back in 14th place. James Miller leads the way, but not without his teammate right up the tailpipes. And then it's a small gap to the 3rd place car, the 21 of Jordan McEvoy. He's side by side with the 98 of Jeffrey Fisher on the backstretch.
I'm kind of surprised Fisher isn't more destroyed, but that car still looks like it has some decent pace. He's going to go get that 3rd position as Sam Close slides so much in turn 3. He saves as well. A lot of people getting caught out by the cooler conditions as the 98 puts himself back into the top 3 as we got a battle for the lead. Gruenberg on the inside.
And he's going to get there. That was a really good run out of turn number 4. Drag race across the start-finish line. Who leads this lap? If it was the finish, it'd be
09.
Miller by about a half an inch as they come across.
Oh, I think we got smoke out of 4. I'm not sure who that was. Tanner Sharp actually spun around out of turn number 4. He gets it going, though. Again, no yellow, as Gruenberg probably wants to see it go green at the end, as he's going to take the lead right away into turn number 2.
He's got it. Moved the 54 to the race lead. Miller back to 2nd. We stay green after the 3-car looped it out of 4. Miller's got another good run here, and it looks like they're going to fight and battle for it. Here he comes now. Oh. The 54 is going to throw a block on the back straight.
Kind of surprised, but I still got just under 30 laps to go. A bit early to be blocking that down the backstretch like that, but it's a bit of too late of a block as Gruenberg's going to get the lead yet again. James Miller back in front as the 98 of Jeffrey Fisher still looking strong, catching these two right now as Gruenberg looks low, still going to get the nose there.
The 09 took a pretty late move, but he got it done, and now the 54 back to the inside at the exit of turn 4, across the start-finish line, side by side, door to door. Teammates here as they cross the line, lap 54, and Fisher, another teammate, looking on from behind.
Look at the 09 trying to get the side draft, looking really about to suck the 54 around, pinching him very hard to that curve. The 54 still going to get a better run out of the corner than the 09. Hard racing with a lot of time to go as Fisher's there now, 3-car battle for the lead.
And he's going to try to get that run off the corner. And which driver will he pick to take him to the front? Look at the 09. He just shot like a rocket ship out of turn 2.
And look at the 98. He's going to look 3 wide under the 54. Backs out, thinks better of it, but he pushed the 09 right to the lead. What a huge run the 09 got just because of that.
Oh, too hot.
But he missed the corner.
He missed it by a bunch, and that's going to let Matt Grunberg take it away and might bring the 98 in as well. Grunberg clears himself off the nose of the 09, and here comes Fisher. So one mistake loses Miller 2 spots in turn 3.
I think that's probably what Grunberg wants.
Oh!
98 into the wall hard out of 4. He tries to block his teammate almost a little bit. Miller has to take evasive action back into the second position, but more damage to that 98.
Yeah, that's a big hit there for the 98, and that'll move Miller back to second. Jordan McEvoy squeezes around the outside, another teammate of this group. So 4 from out front with Chuck Sweeting back in 5th. But that 98's going to be hurting big time.
Yeah, Chuck Sweeting in the 5th position right in front of the 5 machine. These guys all right in front of each other after that trauma we saw during the very beginning of the green flag rounds. The 54 starting to put a bit of a gap on the 09 of James Miller. These two are driving away from McEvoy, who hasn't been able to show the pace to stay with those guys yet.
Grunberg with a half-second lead over James Miller, but Miller might be a little bit quicker. He might be able to grab some of that time back. Now McEvoy in behind is busy with his teammate. Chuck Sweeting's caught them both. As we go back a little bit deeper in the field, Mike Stevens real slow in the middle of 3.
Yeah, he must have had a bit of a slide there. He might have been in the grass, but I don't think it was anything that was even close to being caution-worthy. He was able to gather back up. We've seen a lot of that. These guys jerk it sideways, but they're able to keep the car under him, which I'm kind of surprised about.
McEvoy tucks it into turn 1. Fisher struggling with the turn in at this point. Last time by, Miller was a 1/10.5 quicker than the race leader.
Yeah, but let's be real. How much is Grunberg trying to save possibly? He's still got a long time to go. These laps are taking a minute pretty much every time, so there is a lot of racing left to go, so you really don't want to burn your stuff in case this one goes.
Yeah, we still have to make another pit stop at some point, though, so you have to consider that. Maybe you're willing to burn your stuff up now for track position, come on down to pit lane, then clear yourself up for the rest of the race. McEvoy got his mirror full right now.
I don't know. They did. I don't know. The last run, we only saw cars, the early part of the green flag run, drivers coming in with about 30 laps done on the run. So I'm not sure if they'll even have another green flag stop. They might be able to make it to the end, but we just don't know quite yet.
Yeah, that would be a stretch, I would think, but we'll see. I mean, on tires, more likely, but we'll see if that's what the plan is. Justin Kolb going by the 5 car. Sam Close, who was all sorts of sideways at the exit of turn 4, and move the 52 up to 6th by about a half a car length.
Yeah, he hasn't been this close to the front all day, so he's going to have to try to drive hard to maybe have a shot at Chuck Sweeting for that top 5. A lot of new players coming to the front of the field here. Sam Close up in that 7th position after getting past there. Brent Miller, Jonathan Cogswell, Nick Miller, and others fighting for that top 10. Actually, Drew Eisenman in the 11th position trying to gain his time back with Reese Clark right behind him.
Some other battles going on deeper in the field, but again, the most entertaining one has been at the front of the field all night long tonight. And McEvoy again with his teammate barking up the wrong tree perhaps as they continue to lose some ground to the drivers in front, 0.3 of a second a lap.
Chuck Sweeting's got the run. He's going to look to the inside on Jeffrey Fisher. I think those two teammates are trying to work together. I don't think the 98 expected Sweeting to send it up the inside, but he's going to have that job done for the 4th position.
He's got it. Look at Miller. He's found the race leader, 0.2 of a second, about 3 car lengths worth.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for the rest of the drivers to catch up to these two. These guys are going to be able to work the draft with each other. They're obviously going to be battling, but they're going to have the draft from each other, and it's going to be really difficult to chase them down if the 21, the 26, and others don't get sorted out.
Race Clark, remember his issues earlier. He's back up to 12th position and working over Drew Eisenman, who's had a handful of issues in the most recent 10 or 15 laps. Sam Close a little wide in turn 3 as well.
Yeah, he's been sending it up the track a couple of times. He's trying to fend off that 89 of Brent Miller, who's had a strong run here early in this bit of a short run here, trying to look up the inside, almost close to the outside wall, as so many people have been getting, but just can't make it work. It was someone way low. Nick Boyd almost hitting the pit wall there. That was way too close.
Oh, he's really slow as well. I wonder if there was a... Oh, he actually got the wall. There's a look at the replay.
Oh my goodness,
Whoa.
that's definitely a penalty. That was definitely a penalty as well. So his day goes from bad to worse to even worse.
Whoa.
But at least he didn't completely murder that car.
Come on, Cameron. Sorry about that, but look at that from turn 4. That was almost contact. Here's a look from on board That's a
My
pucker
goodness.
moment. Whoa.
I can't believe that. I would have just sent it into pit road and hoped to get a black flag cleared. Way too close. Good job getting it back, though.
Certainly. Jordan McEvoy in the 21. Chuck Sweeting still battling for third, but up front, Gruenberg and James Miller, they were not shy about racing each other before, all the way out to the concrete now as we approach next time by 20 laps to go.
And that battle for that 7th position is starting to really heat up. These guys all next to each other. Brent Miller trying to get clear away with that spot as Sam Close starts to fall back. Jonathan Cogswell and Drew Eisenman working together on the top.
Oh, not trouble. Nick Boyd hits pit lane. I thought he had the same issue happen to him again. As we go back to that battle for 8th now as Sam Close and Cogswell fight for it. They come out of turn 1. Eisenman and Grace Clark right in the middle of it.
Yeah, trying to be really careful, not really pinching back here for this position. Cogswell giving a lot of room, but it's working out. Look at the run he gets, almost getting into the right rear of Sam Close, though. Maybe a bit of side draft.
For the race lead, James Miller is there, and he's going to have a look to the inside of Matt Gruenberg. And side by side for the race lead, coming to 20 laps to go from Indianapolis, and Miller's got it by a nose.
Gruenberg trying to do a bit of a crossover, get the inside of 09 perhaps, but he didn't get the runoff before that he probably wanted, so James Miller is going to get the lead yet again as Jeremiah Llewellyn might have spun out of 4. He gets in the pit road, though, but these two, even though they were battling side by side, they're 57-3. Oh, my goodness. That was, I don't know what happened there.
Taking swipes at each other on the straightaways, I think, and there that was the 9 of Nick Miller almost got in the back of Grace Clark, missed the braking point just a little bit. Clark's going to go way high in turn 1, trying to recover with the runoff, slipping and sliding on the bias ply tire. Up the inside goes Miller now.
I think the guy swiping on the front stretch was Cogswell and Grace Clark, as Clark was trying to get back up the field. That really cost Cogswell that little scrap, though. He's going to go all the way back to about maybe 14th or so as Hackathorn's got the run on him. Actually, he's 13th. Hackathorn trying to get 13th away from this 27 now. Really bad lap, bad set of corners for that 27.
Battles all over the racetrack right now with less than 20 laps to go. Matt Gruenberg and James Miller going at it right now as they come across the start-finish line. And Miller now pulling a bit of a gap.
Meanwhile, those three back there, 4 through 6, just can't find anything to work with. They're pretty much out of this one unless a yellow happens. I don't see them. Unless these two teammates somehow get together, I don't see anything really happening. Jordan McEvoy playing great defense, keeping that 3rd position to himself. Chuck Sweeting just can't find a way around.
Oh, Eisenman sailed down into turn 1, got right to the tailpipes of the 89 of Brent Miller and right in front of Sam Close. And move Eisenman up to 7th, or make that 8th place.
Trying to get any sort of positions he can get back. Grace Clark back there in 10th hasn't been able to gain quite as much ground as Eisenman because of that scrap he had with Cogswell, so he's going to have to try to fight to get that time back with Nick Miller pushing him up to the rest of those guys. That battle for 8th starting to sort it, battle for 7th, excuse me, starting to sort itself out a little bit, but Brett Miller goes way high out of 3 as we got these 4th through 6th. They're still pretty much bumper to bumper as Jeffrey Fisher trying to find a lane to get by.
For the lead again.
For the lead.
Yep, here comes Matt Gruenberg up driver's left as they cross the line for lap number 63. 54 and 09 have traded the spots a handful of times. How many times? Well, I can tell you that. They have changed it 8 times. It's probably been more than that because they have not probably passed the line in every configuration that they've done so far, but move the 54 back to the front.
Let's see how long it is for James Miller. Again, trying to do a bit of a crossover like Gruenberg tried doing to him, getting a bit of a run out of 2. He's going to look to the inside here, get to the left rear. 54 doesn't move down to any sort of block as 09 has the better run into 3. We'll probably see another swap here.
Into 3 now. The 09's going to chuck it down in. Can he clear the 54? Easily he will. Now Gruenberg will do the crossover here, try to get the throttle back into it. Can't make a pass in turn 4, so he'll have to lay back and plan for the front straight.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of starting to think that this might be by design so they do not get caught by those guys. I know it's late. I know they're racing for a win, but I really do think, I don't think they're just swapping this just because they're racing for the win. I think this is a little bit by design still.
It might be. I mean, they've been fairly cordial with each other even during these position swaps, so that could be correct. We'll go back to 8th place, Brent Miller, Sam Close. This is for 8th spot. 5 has a look. Can't quite get the nose to the inside.
Drew Eisman was able to clear those guys. Gonna try to set his sights on Justin Cole, who's had a decent run here late, up to 6th still. He's back into that battle for that 3rd position as well now, but Chuck Sweeting actually starting to put a bit of a gap as he did get by Jordan McEvoy, so 21 might start dropping down the order here. But Jeffrey Fisher doesn't have the speed down the straightaway because of his damage.
Yeah, and going back to that damage on the 98, He scraped the wall earlier in the race, but now look at left rear, the right front, and the left front all have got chunks taken out of him. I just don't think that car is going to be fast enough on its own. But as I say that, I look at the lap times. His last lap time was a 57.1. James Miller's was a 57.3, so he was running faster. So maybe that damage isn't that big of a deal as long as he stays in the draft.
I think possibly that second pack, 4 through 6, maybe they got a bit faster when Chuck Sweeting took over. They were only a couple hundredths faster Chuck Sweeting was than the top two as they go to swap again, 54 to the inside. But I think McEvoy is really holding those guys up.
Corey Lindsay up to 13th after starting in 24th tonight, and I think you're right. This seems to be so much by design. I'm not convinced that this is natural passing happening at the moment as it looked like it was before. So back to fourth, or make that third place. Sweeting, McEvoy, Fisher, third, fourth, fifth, and Justin Kolb, Drew Eisenman, Brent Miller, Sam Close, and Race Clark, your top 10. How about battle for 12th? That's Hackathorn, Lindsay, and Cogswell, 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Then another pack. These guys are so spread out, but at the same time they're spread out in little packs. A bit of a battle for 15th. Brady Smith, Mike Stevens, Nick Boyd back there, and Michael Goodman. So there's still a lot of battling to do on the racetrack, whether it's for first or for 20th. There's still a lot of battles to deal with.
Nick Boyd has been a miserable night for him after being so competitive earlier. Led 3 laps and was in position to grab a whole lot more, but the way the caution fell, it put him in a bad spot, and then the next caution took him out as he slots right in front of the 63 of Mike Stevens, I believe that is.
Tanner Sharp had a bit of a slide out of turn 1. His day's gone from bad to worse as well. He's 2 laps down, likely 3 laps down possibly, so really unfortunate he's not going to get the finish he'd like for the reserves. But those top 2, I think it's already set and done. I don't even know if they need to swap anymore. They're pretty much away from third on back, so I don't know when they're going to start battling for the win legitimately, but it's going to be close to go time here. Just a matter of who gets the perfect swap timing first.
And keeping an eye on this fourth place fight. McEvoy and Fisher might be playing the same tune, but I don't think Justin Kolb is on board with their strategy, so he might try to be really aggressive there as he tail slides out of turn 4. Tries to get the power down, but it's going to kill that run.
We'll see the track change a little bit again. The sun did come back out, but it's now back under a cloud again. The track tempo was down to 93 under the last yellow. It's 93 right now. It might climb a little bit lower as we speak, as a little bit of a gap for the 54 to James Miller, so we'll see if this is the end of that swapping strategy as the 54 puts a bit of a gap on him.
Had to laugh a little bit. We got Jeremy Miller watching, and he noticed how there's 3 Millers on the timing and scoring. I said, why didn't you get in here and make it 4?
Well, he can't drive tracks where you have to brake.
He just said this car takes skill, Kyle.
It just is what it is.
Justin Kolb up the inside. That's for 5th, but he backs out. Fisher leaves him a lane. It's going to cost him some time, though.
Jeremy's not happy that I called him out. Fisher's into the wall again, banging up that right side of that car again, but it's not completely destroyed. Still in the top 5, still got a chance at this one.
It's like Darlington. I feel like at Darlington, if you don't hit the wall all night, you probably won't hit it. But as soon as you scrape it once, you're going to hit it 10 times. It's very unforgiving about that. One scrape and your night's over pretty much because you're going to hit it more and more and more.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I agree with you on that. You hit it once, you just hit it all over again. I don't think it even matters what track it's at. If it's at Phoenix, Martinsville, if it's Cuba again, if you hit the wall there somehow, you're just going to keep hitting it over and over again. It's hard to right that wrong when you do it once. It just sticks with you, and it kind of just throws you off.
Up front, Matt Grunberg leads James Miller by 0.6 of a second. If I'm James Miller, I think playtime's over. We're coming to, 12 laps to go next time by? I would stop messing around and go get him, because if you don't go get him now, I don't think you're going to have another chance.
Well, I think the problem is I think the 54 realized that it was time to stop messing around, and he's put even more of a gap on the 09 of James Miller. So I think the 54 realized that before the 09. Bit of a mistake maybe by the 09 to let him by again. I think it would have been better for him to get the lead, but the cars just didn't fall in his favor, and he's going to have a really tough time chasing down that 54.
Off into turn number 1. Ruenberg Miller. Miller was a little bit slower that time. Here, there's a hornet's nest here for 4th as McEvoy and Fisher go by the lap car. That's Skylar Nissel, whose night started on lap 2 with a collision with the turn 1 wall. He has not been able to recover much after that situation, unfortunately. There's the 3 car, Tanner Sharp, and it just seems like for so many drivers tonight, Tanner Sharp, the 74 Nick Boyd, and the 11 of Skylar Nissel, as we're 3 wide. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. This is getting really spicy here with a 77 and 89. That's battle for 7th.
I'm not sure why Tanner Sharp didn't let him by earlier. He's 3 laps down right now, so I'm not sure if he was maybe upset with Heisman over something. Not quite sure. Maybe
battling with the 11, I think. The 11 right in front of him, that's a free pass. Well, I guess not a free pass, but it's his 4th position. Yeah, so I think that's the the reasoning there. Oh, for the race lead, how about James Miller running down Grunberg to 0.2 of a second?
I'm not sure how much. I'm trying to see. In front of Gruenberg, there is a lap car, Donovan Smith. Not sure how much that might be hurting him. There's probably not much of an aero push. Maybe he throws the 54 off his game a little bit because the 09's back there. Maybe the 09, maybe I was wrong. Maybe the 54 thought it was time to stop playing, but I think maybe the 54 might be burning up the stuff. Maybe the 09 has something for him.
Yeah, I don't think there's any aero push really to speak of on these cars. They're just so not air dependent. The reason why is because they're so high off the ground. There's so much air going up underneath the car. The aero push really matters when the car's sealed off to the ground, so that shouldn't be much of a big deal. I think what's going to be an issue is what much racetrack these cars need to use to be fast around here. They need to use 3/4 of the width of the racetrack just to get off the corners. So for Grunberg, he'll have to deal with that, but Miller has just found another gear, and this time it'll be 10 laps to go, 25 miles left at Indianapolis.
And it's still gonna sort of feel like an eternity. 10 laps takes forever at a track like this, and the 54 is gonna be under pressure for all 10 of them, so he's gonna know exactly how long these laps are. He's gonna know the exact time it takes from start to finish here for these last 10 laps. He's gonna be under pressure, and he's gonna have to hope that the one of Donovan Smith lets these two by and doesn't hold him up too much.
Battles all over the racetrack all night long. That's been the way these things have been. Big slide there for the 89-point Miller as he comes up off turn 1. We've been caution-free for about 20 minutes, and I hesitate
to... car to the inside wall in turn 2. I think that's Corey Lindsay hard into the inside wall, but he gets off the track. There's going to be no yellow for that one.
Well, that was lucky because I almost commentator cursed everybody out there. 10 laps to go as Gruenberg all the way out to the concrete. Miller behind him. And again, I think it's going to be between those front two. As you mentioned before, I think you told me during a break that that's who you expected to be up there. Look at Jeffrey Fisher hounding his teammate.
I think Fisher needs to start going at some point. I'm pretty sure he's been faster than 24. Wow, really sideways out of 4, really fighting that car late on this run. But I think he's faster than 21, especially in the corners. But because of how much speed he's losing on the straightaways, he just cannot have a look at the 21.
Trying to carry speed through the middle of the corner. That car severely damaged. Matt Gruenberg through the traffic.
Yeah, the one kind of held on a little bit, let the 09 gain a little bit more ground. And look at the 09. He actually has a huge rod down the backstretch.
Going to carry as much speed as he can. This might be an opportunity. Is he going to go for it? Yes, he does. Oh, big block by the 54 into turn 3. Right across the nose into the corner, and now Miller goes for the high side.
That was a very aggressive block, a bit late. I would have protected the middle a bit earlier than the 54 did, but it worked out in his favor. He got a bit more ground on the 09 after that.
That certainly spooked James Miller. Maybe, again, these guys are teammates, so they're going to be playing along pretty nicely here, but they're going at it now. So I think everything's on the table. And I think sometimes you want to race your teammate nicely, but I think other times you can race your teammates harder because you sort of know each other's tendencies. So Miller and Gruenberg are going to be scrapping for it here the final eight or so laps here.
Look at how much lower the 09's trying to get. If he can find any ground, it's getting lower in the turns than the 54, but he arcs it high here trying to get the run off of 2, and I think it's going to work out again. He might have another run. I don't think it's as good this time, though.
No, didn't get a great run that time. Tried to square up the corner and get a late apex off. It just didn't seem to do what he wanted it to do. Still going to carry some speed here, but it's not going to be enough to get close. Meanwhile, behind him for third place, it's a 4-car train, Sweeting, McEvoy, Fisher, and Kolb, but all playing nice right now.
Yeah, Sweeting wasn't able to pull away, and he's getting reeled in by McEvoy yet again. The 98 probably not going to be able to make any sort of look for that top 3 position, but Justin Kolb wasting no time going to the inside of the 98.
And he's going to go through, move Justin Kolb to the top 5. He's going to swipe over to drivers right. Big slide out of turn 4. He might give that time all back right here. Going to sweep back across. Fisher to the left now.
I don't know if Fisher's going to be able to stay under him here because of how much damage he has, but I think he's going to. He's going to get some side draft, going to stay to the inside, still side by side. They're going to lose more time to the drivers up ahead, but this is still a key battle for that top 5 position.
Can Fisher hang on to it? He's going to slide up the racetrack, and the 52 is going to leave him some space to play with. Some smoke in front, no issues. They'll continue, but they are losing tons of ground to the drivers in front as Fisher goes back to 5th.
Kolb's going to be hitting himself for that one again. I think that's at least the second time he's made that pass for that position, but given it up right away. So he's going to get a bit frustrated here as we still got a battle for the lead growing, but I don't know if the 09 has it. He hasn't been able to get the run that he did after Gruenberg passed that lap car, so he's just really struggling to get that run out of these corners right now.
Well, I think the opportunity for James Miller is that if Matt Gruenberg makes a mistake. Now, Matt Gruenberg doesn't usually make mistakes, but this car is not easy to drive, Connor, so I think the potential for mistake is always there, and I don't think we can really count much of anything yet. I think there's still a lot of opportunity for a mistake to be made.
Yeah, Justin Kolb got way loose out of 4. He almost hit the cone and the pit wall, so he's going a bit backwards here after maybe wearing his tires out a bit too much. And Chuck Sweeting actually starting to pull away for that 3rd position. Corey Lindsay, after that hard hit, he's back on track. He's not concussed. Good job for him. But these top 2 having a really big race. One of the more classic races you'll see for a race win right now. We're not even at 5 to go yet. It's still got a lot of time to develop.
Yeah, we're coming to 5 to go this time through. Matt Gruenberg leads the way. Miller is just a tick faster, but it's going to take a little bit of a mistake by the 54 to help facilitate this pass. Otherwise, Miller's going to have to use that old chrome horn.
I don't think he's going to risk using the bumper at a track like Indy, but he got lower in turn 4. Then Gruenberg got a decent run off, but just not enough to make any sort of move. But we'll see if that draft carries him anywhere closer to that left rear, maybe to get a look to the inside. Not quite.
5 laps to go at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series. Off into turn 1. The 09 is right there. Look at the 54 driving in a slide.
I think he knows he's under pressure now. He's got to get a good run out of this corner, or else Miller's going to be all over. But Miller didn't get to the bottom, so the 54, he's going to slide off of 2, though. Can Miller get a good enough run? I just don't think so.
Down the back straightaway now for, well, we got, what, 4 more times after this, so the time is running out. And this is where Miller was better than the 54, but he needs to be better than there decidedly more than he is right now. And I think it's going to take, again, a mistake by the 54. But look how much Matt has that car driven in a slide through the corner. He's able to get it rotated and drive it with the throttle.
And he was able to work that time gap to 09 a little bit, but the 09 Miller trying to really throttle up out of 4, sliding it as well. A bit of a better run, getting oh so close to that wall, closer and closer each lap. He was able to keep pace with the 54 a little bit through turn 4, getting a bit of a run back, but again, he needs to find something else.
Pushing the braking zones deeper and deeper. 4 laps to go. Gruenberg has been nailing his lines lately, but just driving so much of that car on the right rear tire. I'm just wondering if it's going to last like that.
I don't think there's enough time for him to wear off, but look at how loose he's getting. He actually overcorrected a little bit. Not the best run out of turn 2, but again, I just don't think the 09, he's going to have to be on his bumper when that happens to get any sort of run down the backstreet. And even then, you're going to have to deal with Gruenberg likely blocking you to the bottom.
Off into turn number 3. All Miller needs to do is make the 54 overdrive. And what I've seen so far, Connor, is what drivers will do is they'll take a look to the inside and they'll lunge off into the corner. That will make the leader look in his mirror and probably give Miller a lane just out of fear that he'll get run over. So maybe that's the strategy, is just try to spook the leader here with 3 to go. Caution!
Oh, and it's not going to matter. The yellow's out. Not sure where it happened.
Sam Close over in turn 4, I believe.
Was running in a 9th position. Was battling Race Clark.
So the 5 of Sam Close goes around. Let's go back and have a look. And just gets into the wall, and Race Clark had nothing to do with it. He just ran out wide.
We're talking about pressuring, 09 pressuring the 54. I think that's what happened for the 9th position. Race Clark putting the pressure on for that extra position. And Sam Close maybe looking at the 22 more than that outside wall, just chase it up way too far.
Yes, the 5 of Sam Close goes around. And once we come back around to the start-finish line, we'll get set up here. And the 54 and 09 had been battling nose to tail for, I don't know, the better part of 35 laps. But laps led for Matt Gruenberg, 20 today, to James Miller's 25. So most laps led should be going to the 09.
I'll tell you what, this could really flip the race on its head, because we were talking about earlier in that other long run where we didn't see much fall off in the tires. We saw them sliding more, but really the times were still good. I'm wondering if these leaders are going to pit here. It might be really split between the back and half of the field in the front.
See what the strategy is here. Track temperature has dropped on down. What will the call be? Everyone going to come on down, it looks like. Will somebody try something different?
Oh, Gruenberg wants to come back. He does, and James Miller comes with him.
Oh, and all by
People
himself.
are staying out.
Oh, man, for James Miller, that was a tragic mistake. And that's
my
it.
Goodness. It's all the way back to the lap cars with Tanner Sharp, who comes in. Brady Smith, who is 14th, is the next driver to come in with Sam Close and Alex Boyd. The 09 just got royally screwed out of that one. He wanted people. He was trying to pull people in with him, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, that's a death sentence, I think, for any chance of it a victory today. So, who wins this race?
I don't know how you're going to beat Gruenberg. McEvoy, Chuck Sweeting's in second. He's had decent pace, but no one was able to keep up with the 54 or the 09. The only one who was able to keep up with him was Jeffrey Fisher, who's already too much damage to really do anything with it. So I just don't know how you beat that 54 unless the 26 and 98 get together, maybe push each other by the 54, but I just don't see that happening.
Well, caution is out here, I think for the third or fourth time today. I think it's for the fourth time as we continue to run the 3-wide Cold Hard Art Cup Series. The 6th race of the season from Indianapolis, and it has certainly been an entertaining one, and there's been no shortage of action to watch. But I think we're about to see something extraordinarily wild here. And I believe we just have one green-white checkered here, so should we pile up everyone on the restart, it'll be over. So I think that's the advantage for Matt Grunberg, is all he's got to do is nail this restart. He's got a pretty good chance of walking away as the winner tonight.
Maybe he pulls a little bit of strategy. It might be dirty strategy, but you might just want to wait until the very last second to go, because we saw the drivers at the back have struggle when the leader doesn't go immediately, so we might easily see another pileup if drivers don't react in time.
Totally within the rule book. I mean, well, I guess not really the rule book, but it's totally within your legal power to do whatever you want on the restart as long as you go at the green flag. So I think there's there's always a possibility that Grunberg plays that strategy. Looking at the season so far, Matt Grunberg has yet to win a race. James Miller has 3, Jeffrey Fisher has 1, and Eric Mickey has 1. Everybody else is winless this season, including the 54.
Trying to look how far back in the order that 09 machine is. I think he's about maybe 15th or so. I really came into this race at Indy thinking, because the tires die a lot in other series, but it's just might be a thing with the 87 cars. The tires just don't fall off, only about a couple tenths off. So I really think he expected to bring more people to pit road. He really just had to try something different to beat his 54. Maybe not enough faith in either the drivers around him or maybe himself to get a restart to get to the 54, but it just did not work out in his favor at all.
All right, reminder for those that have not witnessed green-white checkers here on SimTV lately, the vertical timing and scoring runs live intervals and swaps positions live. That stops working at the official distance, which we will be reaching at the start-finish line here for the restart. So we will use the horizontal timing and scoring, which updates every lap, and that way you will not be confused as to why it says Grunberg has won when he has not yet won. So we'll be going to the horizontal timing and scoring for the remainder of the race, and it will update every lap, but not instantaneously. Coming to the restart here, Matt Grunberg is in command in the 54, then Chuck Sweeting, Jeffrey Fisher, Justin Kolb, Drew Eisenman, Miller Clark, that's Race Clark, Nick Miller, Jonathan Cogswell, and Matt Hackathorn are your top 10. Connor, what are your thoughts here? I mean, you picked Matt Grunberg, but maybe that 98's the one we should be watching.
I really think the only play the 98 has is to push Chuck Sweeting, because he doesn't have to pace down the straightaways to do anything. He's been following everyone else for the whole race, for the whole last half of this race. I just think the only one who can beat that 54 machine is Chuck Sweeting with the help of the 98. I don't see any other way it happens.
We'll see if it does. Coming to the restart, 2 laps to go. Green, white, checkered, or only attempt at it. If the caution comes out, the race is over. Matt Grunberg in the 54, the 26 of Chuck Sweeting, the 98 of Jeffrey Fisher. Green flag back in the air here at Indianapolis. We're back underway with 2 to go. And a good restart for the 26. Looks to driver's left. Big slam the door for the 54 on the head on down to turn number 1.
And I think that's the restart Grunberg wanted. He wanted them to stack up, which they sort of did at the back, but they didn't wreck. That let Chuck Sweeting have a really good chance at the lead, but couldn't make it work as Jeffrey Fisher blocks the 52, and the 54 gets a really good gap back to Chuck Sweeting.
Yeah, that was all the 54 needed to do. He really left himself vulnerable, though, because the 26 had a great runoff into turn 1. Now the drag race down the backstretch. Look at the 84 and 27. Slamming doors as they head down towards turn number 3.
Getting really close to each other, really chasing each other to the grass there as they almost went 3 wide in the back, but nothing doing. The 27 way up the track as they're side by side for that 4th position.
Oh,
going to be outside wall.
That was really dicey there. We're going to look 3 wide for a second. The 89 of Brent Miller almost chucked it down there, but he didn't. Can we get back to the white flag? No, they touch. The 22 slams the wall. And is the caution going to come out? We're still green. Still green.
Yeah.
Still green. Caution.
And it was all between Matt Grunberg as we got cars flipping all over the track, the whole back of the field in this one. Cars flying everywhere. James Miller involved as well.
Cars wrecked and turned over. The 5 car on its lid.
That was, my goodness, that wreck lasted all the way to the yard of bricks there.
Wow.
And Tim Close is the one who ends up beached.
We'll go back and look at it as soon as the race is over. They were about 100 yards from the start-finish line and would have gotten a chance to race it back, but I don't think Chuck Sweeting would have gotten there.
Yeah, that all got started because Jeffrey Fisher, with no he was really trying to block 2 lanes at once, and they got loose behind him. I think it was Brent Miller got loose, put the 22 Race Clark into the outside wall, and it was just calamity from there. It was really down to Matt Grunberg and Chuck Sweeting. Sweeting was able to stay with him better than I thought he did, but he just didn't get the shot that he really wanted.
And unfortunately today, we talked about Nick Boyd's issues. He will finish in 20th, 2 laps down. He was the fastest driver of the day, the 56.128. That is just unfortunate. He had the speed to win this race and the strategy to do it too, just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, really unfortunate. I give it to Chuck Sweeting. He gave in a better effort than I thought. He really closed up on Grunberg into 3 especially, but if he got one more lap, maybe he would have had a look, then maybe they made contact. Who knows what happens, but just wasn't meant to be. But it's about time. Grunberg's one of the faster drivers in this series so far, and he's finally going to get that win.
Matt Grunberg will get his first win of the 2020 3-Wide Racing League Cold Hard Art Cup Series season, and we'll finish with about 16 drivers, which is a whole lot less than we started with. We lost about 8 or 9 of them on that last lap collision. Grunberg wins, Sweeting in second, then Jeffrey Fisher, Eisenman, Kolb, Miller, Nick Miller, Brent Miller, Mike Stevens, Hackathorn, Smith, the rest of your top 10.
We're going to have to look at that again. I think that might have been more than 9 cars. That may be one of the biggest wrecks I've ever seen at Indy in any sort of series. Everyone just going for it in the final lap. Look at that car's facing the outside wall of how messed up it is.
Yeah, let's go back and see exactly how this started. And I think you're going to see the 89 of Brent Miller, I think, is the car that got on the apron. And that's where it all started, I think. And then the 22 bounces off, and that's where all hell breaks loose.
And James Miller and Brady Smith got involved because they were trying to avoid it, and it just involved more and more people. Nick Boyd spinning like a top James Miller into the fence a couple of times. Sam Close, he's not even really involved in it, just barely gets caught up and just gets the unlucky bounce, just puts up on his lid.
Another look again. Let's start back with, again, Brent Miller is the first car that we saw sort of right here. They're going to hook together with the 22. Wow, look at the hit that he takes.
He takes a couple hard hits there. Someone went hard into the inside wall. I think it was Cogswell. And more cars, a lot of hard hits than this one. Cars going up and over, in the fence, up, upside down, just piling in here because they're trying to get to the finish line, trying to get any spots they can.
And Sam Close up and over. Kind of a slow roll over here. Here's on board with Sam Close as he watched it all from behind.
He's keeping his foot in it, trying to get as many spots as he can at this point. He goes low, avoids that one nicely. Let's see what happens here. Gets by McEvoy. The track just starts getting blocked. There's nowhere to go.
Oh, almost had it. Right here, he's going to get just tipped over.
He didn't even get hit.
He just, tire model turned him over. With that, though, Matt Grunberg celebrating at Indianapolis.
Watch those bricks. No one likes to burn out on the bricks.
I think he's well to the turn 4 side of them.
And that's a hell of a burnout, too.
Yeah, he's got it figured out, does he not? Look at that. That is awesome.
If only he could light the track on fire, he'd totally be doing it right now.
Looks good. So he'll celebrate his first win of the season. And we will show you race results here in just a moment. How about this? Oh boy, what a race we just witnessed. And Grunberg, Sweeting, Fisher, Eisenman, and Kolb, your top 5. And again, the big disappointments on the day, I think the 09 and James Miller coming home in 11th has to be disappointing after coming to pit lane. I don't know why that happened, but he did. And then, of course, Tanner Sharp, and we already documented the woes for Race Clark as well as the 74 of Nick Boyd, who I thought could have won this race.
Yeah, he definitely had a shot at a bunch of guys. Like Eisenman could have had a shot of it if he had the track position. He was able to recover to get up to 4th. Also, Jordan McEvoy, who finished 14th, he was looking for a good top 5 run there, but that yellow pretty much erases that. Race Clark, 15th. He had one of the better shots to win, I believe, on that long run, but it just wasn't meant to be.
We're going to step away for just a minute. We'll be right back with interviews. Stay with us. Welcome back live here to Sim TV, and after a wild race tonight, Jeffrey Fisher comes home in third place in the number 98 car. Well, that was a wild one out there. A big pileup at the end kind of brought the caution out and sort of ended the chances of anyone sneaking up there and grabbing a win away from your teammate. But take us through this race. You had some trials and tribulations. You led 11 laps, but got yourself involved in a wreck. That wasn't really anything you're doing. But just walk us through your night and the chaos and confusion that led to your third place run.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was hoping it was gonna be flag to flag, but I guess people still have issues restarting in these cars. I guess they don't understand that you don't go on green when it's single file. You go on the guy in front. But nah, I mean it was a good night. I'm glad Matt got his first win of the season. Kind of upset what happened to James there at the end, people not knowing how to use brakes after the cautions already come out. But I mean, all in all, it was just kind of just tire run, just trying to save your stuff and just be there. Kind of disappointed making third because I honestly feel like I had the speed to win, but I got loose off four and pounded the wall. And I was like 2 miles per hour down on speed on the straights.
So looking forward to a week at Pocono, Pennsylvania, I kind of consider Pocono to be sort of similar to Indianapolis, long straights, really tight corners. What have you learned this week that you can apply to next week at the Tricky Triangle?
Not killing the right front, the right rear, pretty much. Yeah, I feel like I'm good at Pocono. I've done races there in these cars, and I've either done really good or flipped into the pit wall. So looking forward to it.
All right, Jeff. Hey, thanks for talking to us. Congratulations. Top 5 run for the 98. We'll see you next week.
Dude, thanks.
Moving on now to our second place runner, Chuck Sweeting. Hey, Chuck, it's good to see you back here. Second place tonight. Just shy of a race win, but didn't get a chance to go chase down the 54 at that big crash in the mirror behind you. But still a really solid race. 13th up to second. Late race caution. Everyone comes down, takes tires. Your thoughts and your experience from the racing tonight.
Yeah, it's good to be back talking to you again. It was quite a learning curve for me. I didn't get any practice in, and I about lost it and took myself out a couple of times, and then finally got the hang of it, and we got some runs and was able to work my way up there. I don't think I had anything for Matt, even if it had stayed green, but I'm pretty happy with second place. That's not too bad.
Not too bad for sure. I was just asking Jeff what his thoughts were about heading to Pocono next week. Pretty similar racetrack, long straights, tight corners. I guess going into a place like that, do you feel more confident now that you've gotten some practice at a track with a similar characteristic?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm guessing going into the turns there, because you're at a high speed, will be very much like going into turn 1 and turn 3 here. So I think it should help everybody out a little bit. We should all be a little bit more prepared for the next race.
Chuck, congratulations. Second place run. Thanks for talking. We'll see you next week.
Excellent.
Moving on now to Matt Grunberg, who just finally got his first win of the season. Took you 6 rounds to get there, Matt. But hey, back in victory lane where you belong, 20th to 1st. An epic battle with your teammate, and then the decision to not come to pit lane. Your other teammate did choose to come on down, and that was sort of a death sentence for his race. But then the restarts. Take me through how you manage a single file restart here and how you manage to keep everybody behind you on that final one.
Yeah, it was tough. Chuck, he got a good run into one there, and I kind of blocked that. And then from then on, it was just kind of hitting my marks and making sure I managed the gap in between me and Chuck there for the final 2 laps there. All in all, great race considering the amount of practice I had. Really kind of found a groove there in that first run on kind of marks and what I wanted to hit. It felt like the car was fast. It felt like I was gaining on the leaders at the tail end of that first run. And once we got the track position, it was a dogfight with James Miller. And it was going to be a good battle there until that caution came out. And I just kind of knew that I was going to stay out there no matter what. Even if everybody came in, it didn't matter to me. I felt like the tires weren't going to be as good as what others thought they were, considering the lap time we had just run. So all in all, great week. Glad to be back in victory lane. It feels like it's been a while, and I'm looking forward to the next few races on the schedule.
Pocono, Iowa, and Darlington coming up. Good luck to you at the Tricky Triangle in Pocono, Pennsylvania next week, Matt. We'll see you there.
Thank you.
All right, it's going to wrap things up tonight. We'll finish things off going back to Connor Horn here. We'll wrap things up, Connor. What a night tonight! This is a wild one. The infield care center is packed after that big wreck there at the Checkers. But your thoughts on this race? This was a fun one. We head to Pocono next week, a very similar racetrack in design. Your expectations, your thoughts, and what we learned this week heading into next.
We learned that these two races coming up are definitely going to be one of the more impressive and most exciting ones, like in the whole entire season. They'll definitely be going to these tracks again with how awesome these cars race. A lot of side-by-side racing, a lot of pack racing at the same time. There was really a lot of clean racing for the most part, and it was very exciting to watch, and I can't wait to see how Pocono unfolds, because that should be exciting, especially how unique these two tracks are. It's going to be exciting.
Super exciting race this week. We'll see you in Pennsylvania next, heading up to the Northeast for round number 7. Thanks for watching tonight. We'll see you next time.